Let's discuss the 1987 Constitution. Let's start with the Article 1, which is the national territory. So, Article 1 defines the Philippine national territory. It states the national territory of the Philippines includes the Philippine archipelago and all islands and waters that form part of its domain. So, ang pinapaliwanag lang dito is yung mga pagmamay-ari ng Pilipinas, katulad ng mga lupa, ng karagatan, ng mga kupat. So, national territory, ito lang pinapaliwanag lang dito yung yung islands, water na pagmamay-ari ng Pilipinas at ilalaban nila ito kung meron man ng mga agaw dito. So, ang example na lang dito is one of the most prominent discussion in this article is the West Philippine Sea. So, alam natin na ang West Philippine Sea ay pinag-aagawan ng Pilipinas at China. So, sino nga ba yung may-ari talaga dito? So, the Philippines has been in a territorial dispute with China over parts of the sea, including the Spratly Islands and Scarborough Shoal. The Philippine government has called for international arbitration to protect its territorial and integrity. So, kahit atin yung West Philippine Sea, and dapat natin itong protektahan kasi atin nga ito, as the contested waters are believed to contain significant resources such as oil and gas. So, yun lang naman yung pinag-uusapan or pinapaliwanag ng national territory, which is ang mga pagmamay-ari ng Pilipinas. Kabilang dito yung sinabi ko kanina, lupa, water, and islands. The next one is the Article 3, which is Bill of Rights. So, sasabi dito sa Article 3, guarantees the fundamental rights of the citizen, such as the right to life, liberty, and property, as well as freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. So, this article ensures that no law can be infringed upon these essential freedoms, and it's as safeguard against abuses and powers. So, sinasabi lang dito sa Bill of Rights is yung karapatan nating mabuhay, at karapatan sa property natin, karapatan maging malaya, at karapatan maging liberty, and maging relihiyosong tao. So, sabi dito, an example lang ni Sir Petty nung isang araw, kunwari, merong warrant of arrest yung police, and hindi dapat siya basta-basta papasok yung pulis sa bahay na pupuntahan niya kung walang search of warrant itong pulis. So, depende na lang kung yung may bahay ay papapasukin ng pulis or kung papapasukin niya yung pulis or hindi. So, isa pang example dito is kunwari may nakita kang crime, then walang nakita kang crime, then merong witness sa crime na yon. So, yung police pupunta sa bahay ng biktima, kahit walang search of warrant yung police, basta merong witness, papasok siya dun sa bahay ng biktima. Kahit wala siyang search of warrant, at least may witness. Pwede po iyon. So, sabi nga dito, itong article na ito is no law can be infringed upon the essential freedom. It serves to us as a safeguard against yung mga abuses, tulad na lang sa politiko, di ba? May karapatan din tayo na kung ano yung makakabuti sa atin at hindi dinidiktahan ng ibang tao. Katulad na rin sa pagboboto. So, hindi dapat dinidiktahan ng isang organisasyon yung isang tao o yung mga tao na ito yung iboto nila sa eleksyon. dahil may karapatan silang bumoto at hindi dapat nila yun diktahan. So, sinasabi lang dito sa Bill of Rights is protect. Ito yung mga karapatan natin, ito yung safeguard natin against the abuses of the power. So, let's proceed to the Article 5, which is suffrage. So, in this article, discuss guarantees the right to vote, a fundamental democratic process ensuring that citizens have a say in governance. However, challenges such as vote buying, electoral fraud, and misinformation undermine and integrity of election of the Philippines. So, ang pinapaliwanag lang dito sa suffrage is bawal ang vote buying kasi is, kunwari, yung mga politiko, nagbibigay ng pera para ito yung, para siya yung iboto. Like that. So, example dito is that during the 2022 election, reports of massive vote buying circulated with politicians, allegedly distributing money and goods in exchange for votes. Additionally, social media disinformation campaigns spread misleading information about candidates influencing a voter decision. So, sinasabi dito, nung 2022 is may mga report na nagkakaroon ng vote buying and yung vote buying na yun, yung binabayaran nila na yun or yung mga parang binibigay nilang pera ay may kapalit din. Ang kapalit niya ay syempre iboboto mo sila kasi binigyan ka ng pera. So, additionally sa social media, so nakikita natin on TikTok, Facebook, yung mga fake news like that, nagbibigay sila ng misinformation in that politician and doon po nasisira yung image ng isang politician. Okay lang po na, ay hindi po okay na mag-create tayo ng mga misinformation na mga bagay-bagay about sa politician dahil hindi lang po kayo nakakasira ng ibang tao, kundi nasisira nyo po yung image nila sa taong iyon. So, bawal mag-vote buying. Bakit? Kasi, syempre kapag vote buying, parang dinidiktahan ka na nila kung sino yung iboboto mo. Syempre siya. So, it depends on you naman kung magpapauto ka. Yun na. Next one is the Article 6, which is the Legislative Department. So, this article established the powers and the function of the Congress, which is responsible for making laws that shape national policies. However, this legislative inefficiency, political dynasties, and slow passage of crucial bill often hinder its effectiveness. So, legislative, ito yung ang bumubuo dito is yung mga Senado, House of Representatives na nagpapawalang bisa sa batas. So, next one is the Article 7, which is the Executive Department. Article 7 outlines the powers of responsibilities of the Philippines or the President. So, pinamumunuan nito ang President. So, ang President na siyang nagpapatupad sa batas, ngunit ang pinakamataas pa rin sa President is the federal law. So, the federal law, hanggat merong, sila pa rin yung magpipirma or sila pa rin yung mag-dictate kung ipapatupad ba nila tong batas na ito. So, hindi po si President ang pinakamataas siguro. Sabi po kasi nila, si President, federal law, si President ay sumusunod lang din sa federal law. So, this article outlines the powers of responsibility of the President, so including ensuring national security, enforcing laws, and managing the government. However, the effectiveness of executive branch is open question, especially in times of crisis. So, ano nga ba yung mga executive branch ng executive department? So, marami yon, mga DOH, DSWD, mga DepEd, mga sa agriculture, like that. So, kina-question nila na saan nga ba napupunta itong mga department branch or executive branch na ito sa mga panahon ng krisis. So, ang executive department is pinamumunuan ito ng Pangulo, which is responsible dapat dito yung Pangulo natin, and the powers of his is dapat i-apply niya dun sa sa ating mga mamayang Pilipino, at dapat sinisigurado ng president na yung protection natin is na-maintain, and the enforcing law, and kung paano nga ba niya i-manage ang isang government or sa loob ng hukuman or sa loob ng Supreme Court. So, the next one is the Article 8, which is the Judicial Department. So, this article establishes the judiciary role in interpreting and upholding the law. The judiciary is meant to be independent, but issues such as case backlogs, corruption, and political influence sometimes compromise justice. So, judiciary or sa hudikatura, binubuo ito ng Supreme Court na sila yung mga nagsusuri ng batas o nagpapasya kung yung kaso ba na iyon ay dapat matiyak nila na merong hustisya in that case. So, ang Tagalog kanina ng executive ay heyektibo at ang legislative naman is legislatura. So, judicial, dito lang naman yung mga kaso na dapat matiyak na may hustisya yung kakalabasan ng kaso. Next one is the Article 4 or the Education, Science, and Technology, Arts, Culture, and Sports. So, Article 14 emphasizes the importance of education in national development, requiring the state of provide quality and accessible education for all. However, problems such as inadequate funding, outdated curricula, and lack of facilities remains persistent issues. So, yes, tama nga po yung Article 14. So, ini-emphasize lang naman dito yung importance ng education sa atin. Siyempre, kailangan ang education sa atin nire-require na mag-provide ng quality education, and dapat accessible yung education for all. Hindi lang sa mga mayayaman, kundi pwede din sa mga mahihirap. So, however, in that case, yun nga, accessible for all, sabi ko, for all. Pero may mga times na hindi po natin ma-access or accessible to everyone yung education dahil nga po sa kahirapan ng isang mamamayang Pilipino, pero ginagawa naman po yun ng paraan, katulad ng pagbibigay ng scholarship, and yes, pagbibigay ng mga scholarship sa mga estudyante. So, however, there have a problem such as inadequate funding, outdated curricula, and lack of facilities remain persistent issue. Yes, and inadequate funding sa education, kasi nga meron daw atang nanakaw na fund ng DepEd. Sa DepEd may nanakaw atang fund. So that yan yung isang problema natin. So, fund ng DepEd yun, bakit nila kinukuha? Right? So, dapat hindi dapat nila kuhanin ng ganun lang, tapos ilalaban nila na ganito kasi, ginastos ko kasi sa ganyan. In that case, hindi maniniwala ang mga tao dahil lang sa isang ang laking pera at konting araw lang niya winaldas. So, next is the outdated curricula. So, ibig sabihin nito, yung mga curriculum guide natin is hindi siya updated, or hindi naman sa hindi updated. So, parang mas dapat pang i-update yung curricula natin, which is para mag-improve yung skills and knowledge ng mga bata. And next one is the lack of facilities. Yes, I agree that lack of facilities remain persistent issue. So, maraming nagsisiksikan sa school dahil lang sa kulang yung buildings, kulang yung teachers, pero hindi sila kumukuha ng mga teachers. Ewan ko kung bakit, and dapat nilang pagtuunan ng pansin ang edukasyon, or dapat nilang pahalagahan ang edukasyon dahil ito yung isang treasure na hindi makukuha ng ibang tao. So, in short, education is the most important for us, and dapat meron tayong accessible education for all. So, the example of the Article 14 is the implementation of the K-12 curriculum was meant to improve education, but many schools still lack classrooms. Yes, noong nag-implement sila ng K-12 curriculum, dito na parang nabago lahat, dahil nagkaroon ng K-12 curriculum is meron ng mga facilities na pinatayo, which is parang hindi ko alam kung dapat ba kailangan nating mag-aral ng K-12 or hindi na, dahil daw nahuhuli na tayo sa mga brain ng ibang bansa. Nahuhuli na tayo sa pag-aaral ng ibang bansa. So, but many schools still lack of classroom, books, and qualified teachers. Yes, in that K-12 is mas dumadami yung mga estudyante, and dapat marami ding mga facilities, pero merong school naman na may maraming facilities pero hindi nila binubuksan yung facility na iyon. Kaya, nagsisiksikan pa rin sila sa isang building na iyon. Meron naman yung ibang building, hindi naman nila binubuksan. So, books, yes, yan talaga yung kulang sa atin ngayon. Books, kailangan mag-provide, especially to the college student. Kailangan ng college student ang isang libro, dahil dito sila magbe-base sa lahat ng mga gagawin nila nilang mga activities like that. So, next one is the qualified teachers. Yes, qualified teachers. I don't have an explanation of that, and I don't need to comment of that issue. So, in some rural areas, students continue to struggle with poor internet access. Yes, sa mga bulubundukin, sa mga galing pa sa bundok na mga bata is, syempre, mahihirapan silang mag-access ng internet dahil nga bundok sa kanila. And then, making online nung COVID-19, wala nang internet sa kanilang bahay, mag-online class pa sila, especially during COVID-19 pandemic. So, many students nag-i-struggle pa din sa mga problems dito sa regarding this topic, which is the Article 14, Education and Science Technology, Arts, Culture, and Sports. So, kailangan natin talagang pagtuunan ng pansin itong Article 14 dahil this is the foundation this is the foundation bakit tayo medyo umuunlad ngayon. So, education kasi is parang it is a treasure that you cannot give to others. So, dapat nating pahalagahan, at kapag napahalagahan natin ito, may patutunguhan ito someday.